We all think we know the Grand Canyon. It's one of those places that feels completely familiar, even if you've never been. But what if I told you that huge parts of it are a total secret? We're talking about vast, hidden areas that are completely off limits to you, to me, to just about everybody.
And that's the big question, isn't it? It's a question that kicks off a mystery that's been bubbling under the surface for more than 100 years. It suggests that somewhere, tucked away behind those famous canyon walls, a pretty big secret is being kept under lock and key. And look, we're not just talking about roping off a small area to protect some rare plants. This is something else entirely. These are massive zones where entry isn't just discouraged, it's forbidden. Period. And they take that very, very seriously. So why? Why this level of intense secrecy inside a national park that's supposed to belong to everyone? To even begin to understand what might be going on, we have to start with the official story. Now, on the surface, the official reasons they give, well, they make a lot of sense. They say the terrain is just too dangerous, with unstable cliffs and caves that have never even been mapped. Okay, fair enough. Plus, some spots are set aside for important scientific research, and others are for government use only. It all sounds perfectly logical for a place that wild. But that's the thing. When you put up a giant "Do Not Enter" sign on a place this mysterious, it just makes people wonder even more. That secrecy, that complete lack of access, it's the perfect breeding ground for a very different kind of story. And trust me, this is not a new thing. This story goes way back. To really get to the heart of it, we've got to jump back in time, all the way to the early 1900s. It all starts with one explorer, a man named G.E. Kincaid, and a single, absolutely mind-blowing newspaper article. This is where the whole legend really begins. So picture this. It's 1909, and the Arizona Gazette runs a story on its front page. A story about a discovery so incredible, it could literally rewrite history as we know it. And now, more than a century later, we're still asking the same questions that story raised. The article didn't mince words. I mean, listen to that quote. A vast underground citadel. They were talking about a massive, man-made city deep inside the earth, filled with artifacts from a civilization that, according to our history books, should never have been there. And here's the kicker. According to the story, Kincaid wasn't some lone wolf prospector. He claimed his expedition was funded by the prestigious Smithsonian institution. He talked about exploring tunnels and rooms full of ancient relics, but the one crucial detail he never revealed was the exact location of his find. So what did he say he found? Well, get ready for this. We're talking copper weapons, statues, storehouses full of ancient seeds, even mummies. And he claimed many of these items were covered in hieroglyphs that looked Egyptian or from somewhere in the East. Finding something like that in Arizona, it would change everything. You'd think a find like this would be the biggest archaeological story of all time, right? It would be everywhere. Instead, after that one newspaper article, complete radio silence. The whole story just, well, it seemed to disappear. And this is where the real mystery digs in. You have two stories that absolutely cannot both be true. On one side, you have a detailed front-page report. On the other side, you have the Smithsonian, which says, to this day, we have no idea who G.E. Kincaid is, and we never funded any such expedition. So after that initial splash, the official story went completely cold. No follow-up reports, no public expeditions. And then over the years, the federal government started protecting that part of the canyon more and more. All of which, of course, just fueled the theory that the whole thing was being covered up. But if someone was trying to erase this story from history, did they succeed completely? People who believe the legend say no. They argue there are clues still out there, hiding in plain sight. For instance, if you look at a map of the area, you'll see some very strange names for the rock formations. Names like Isis Temple, the Tower of Ra, Shiva Temple, all from ancient Egyptian and Hindu myths. Now, a skeptic would just say the 19th century surveyors who named them were history buffs, but for others, it's a quiet little nod to the real history hidden there. And all of this brings us right back to today. Because look, whether you think the story of G.E. Kincaid is a fantastic legend or a buried truth, one fact is undeniable. The forbidden zones are real, and they are sealed off like Fort Knox. And when I say sealed off, I mean it. You can't just fly a drone over the area. People who've gotten too close report being watched. There are countless stories from hikers and explorers who've had their cameras and footage confiscated.
Some parts are only accessible by helicopter, and people have even reported seeing patrols in the most remote areas imaginable.
And you do not want to get caught trying to sneak a peek. The consequences are no joke. We're talking about huge fines, getting permanently banned from every single national park in the country, and having all your expensive gear taken away. They are not playing around. Here's the great irony in all of this. The more effort they put into securing these zones and dismissing the legend, the more powerful the story becomes. Every new restriction, every patrol, it just reinforces that deep down feeling that there must be something incredibly important they're trying to hide. And so that's the final nagging question we're all left with. If the whole Kincaid story was just a 100-year-old piece of fake news, then why go to such extraordinary lengths to keep people out? If there's truly nothing inside, then why is it still forbidden?